Checking. 1, 2, checking. Internet besties. Hi, my name is Ashley Simone. Welcome back to my channel. So usually I do fashion content. I just decided if I'm going to get back on YouTube, I'm going to do stuff that I enjoy watching. So I love Haley Pham. I love Kyra Edwards. I love watching Carrie Dayton. I love watching Sierra Schulte Collective. That's the stuff that I like. I feel like as a Black woman, we just put ourselves in a box. All I see from Black women on these platforms on YouTube is just doing like vlogs and like living in their luxury apartments in their high rise. And I'm so glad that we can live a soft life and we can live a life of luxury. But there's not just one type of Black woman, and we come in all shapes and forms. And I just so happen to love books. I started a book club back in 2022. And we've been consistent. We've been running for 2 years now. We started in August 2022, and now it's 2 years later. And I want to share with y'all my favorite books. So here's my book collection. It's not fancy like any of the booktubers that I watch. This is just what I have, my little display. I hope to like one day have a wall full of books or bookshelves like around my TV stand. But right now, that's not a priority. So we work with what we have. That's my backstory. Let's get into my 5-star books that I recommend for beginners specifically. So I don't have all the books physically here, but I'm just going to hold up the ones that I do have and then put on the screen on either side the books that are not present with me. I think I honestly let a friend borrow them or I listen to it on Audible. So, oh, that's another thing. You read books in any form. I believe that whether you read it, whether you, listen to it, it's still consumption of something and you're learning something. And if someone didn't pick that book up or hear that book, they wouldn't know what's inside of it. I mean, either way, while you're listening or reading it physically, what's in this. And you get something from it. And you consume something other than like television or YouTube or music. Like you are consuming something written by a creative author. And I think it doesn't matter if you listen to it or physically read it. That's just my thoughts. Oh, by the way, if you're a book girly already and you're just here watching for 5-star books, peep the merch. My friend got this for me for my birthday, and I am a Ryerson fan. I'm so excited. Our book club for February, because I feel like the book's going to come out. I think it's coming out January 25th. So our book for February is the 3rd book in that series. And keep on watching because you'll hear my thoughts about it. Okay, so the first book I do not physically have that I rated a 5-star book, and we read this the first book of my book club, and I recommended another book club when they started to read this as the first book. And I feel like it just gets you in there. If you're a first time reader, like it makes you want to read again. And it's Verity. I don't have the synopsis pulled up, but basically it's a thriller. It's by Colleen Hoover. If you know, you know. She's very popular. I'm actually going to see It Ends With Us tonight. I'm so excited. And I'm not her biggest fan because I feel like there's a trope definitely of like women getting pregnant at the end of her books and just so much trauma and these men having like all these issues and like these women just coming in and like loving them in spite of. It's weird to me. But Verity is so good. It's a thriller. She doesn't typically write thrillers. She writes romances. And the synopsis, I'll try to put it on the screen. But from what I remember, let me first say this. I rate books 5 stars if I can remember the plot, if I can remember the storyline, months to come, years to come, weeks to come. Like if I can remember it and I still get excited about it, that's what I rate a 5-star. So if it like evokes a feeling within me where I'm like, oh my goodness, I love that so much, or it made me cry, or that's what I rate a 5-star. That's my scale. So these are evoking books. But I rated this 5 stars because one, at the end, it's like a divide amongst people. You believe one thing, you believe the other. And it's so fun to just discuss with people what you believe and your theories. I love that she left it up to your own interpretation. It's a lot of plot twist. So basically, like, this girl, she's a writer and she's writing for this other writer, and she moves into her home, and the writer of the book that she's writing for, she's like a ghostwriter, like a ghostwriter, like for raps and stuff, like Nicki Minaj and stuff. Well, she's like a ghostwriter for her. The world doesn't know that she's like incapacitated, like bedbound, and just lays in the bed all day and isn't like functioning, has no quality of life. And so she moves into their house, and I'm just going to leave it at that. She thinks that this woman is one thing and this woman is not. It's a thriller. I don't want to give too much away, but the plot twists are amazing. It will keep you very engaged. I recommend this to so many people, and they say that they've read it in one sitting, like finish it all, because it's so good. It's so entertaining, and they absolutely loved it. So that is number one. If you have not read for years, that's how I was. I didn't read since I was a kid, and I picked that book up, and it has started a momentum for me where I cannot stop reading books. The second on my list, I do physically have this book, and it is Scythe, and I can read you the synopsis. It's a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all those things and has even conquered death. Now the Scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to be apprenticed to a scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life. Basically, I cannot stop thinking about this book. When I tell people about this book, they are so excited. They're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's a thing. It's population control. They've cured everything. Like, you cannot even off yourself. Like, people jump off the roof and then robots come pick them up and take them to a hospital and like put them back together. Like, you don't feel pain, you don't feel anything. They've conquered it all illness, all that. But when you have this many people, like, you have to have population control. And so these two teens, they get chosen. This is YA, by the way. They get chosen to be apprentice, become a scythe. And when they go to the meeting, he's like really evil scythes, like want them to go head on and compete. And whoever, kills each other off ends up being the scythe or whatever. It takes you on that journey. It's really good. I can't stop thinking about it. Just all the ways, like, you can kill people the moral way, or you could kill people like based off statistics, the moral way, old age or whatever. You could do all kinds of things. Some of these people don't do it the right way. They do it a immorally way. I mean, think about murder, it's murder, but they like do mass shootings and mass like burn down buildings with people in it, because you have to meet this quota every year before the conference. But it is so good. I didn't mention, like, all of these books are gonna be like dystopia or thriller. That's just my genres. But this was really good. It was easy to read. It was YA. This was our first book for my book club that was written by a man, and he did that. I couldn't believe he could even think about that. It has a lot of stuff about IA, and it just creeps me out because I'm like, how did he know this? Because he wrote this. I think this book published in, I think it was like early 2000s. And I was like, how did he know about this stuff? Because AI stuff is like coming out now. My boyfriend said they've been known for years. The third book that I absolutely love, it's a dystopia. It's called The Measure, and I'm gonna put it on screen because I don't physically have it. It is so good. Synopsis that I can remember. Basically, over 22 years old, everybody gets a box in front of their door, and it has a string in it. And these people are wondering, what does this string mean? This string is the measure of, should I tell y'all? The string measures something, and everybody freaks out. This is the first book that has ever made me cry. It is beautiful. It is thought provoking. I just loved everything about it, and I will never forget this book. It will go down in history. I tell people about this, and their mouths are like gasp because they're like, what kind of book is that? It is so, 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 so good. I absolutely love it. And I love things that make me cry. I'm just that type of girl. Okay, this next book I physically have, it's Grace Year. And I know Kyra Edwards really likes this one. It's a really popular one on TikTok. And I love it so much. This made me cry as well. And I was at work when I finished it and I could not gather the words. Like my mouth was just gaped open and I was just like, and my coworkers are like, "What is wrong?" It was on a Saturday, mind you. I'm a nurse, I know, but it was on a Saturday. We weren't doing anything. I finished this book, and I was just like, "It's dystopia." Somebody described it as like Lord of the Flies and also Hunger Games mixed together. I'll try to read a little of the synopsis. No one speaks of the Grace Year. It's forbidden. In Garner County, girls are banished for their 16th year to release their magic into the wild so they can return purified and ready for marriage. But not all of them will make it home alive. Tyranny James dreams of a better life, but as her own Grace Year draws near, she quickly realizes that there is more to fear about the Grace Year than the brutal elements and the poachers in the woods. It's crazy. Basically, they go into the woods when they turn 16 to get rid of their magic, and so much happens. A part of you is like, is there an element of a magical world, or are they just making this up? It's it's a little bit of magical realism, it's thriller, it's a dystopia. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And it just talks about like girlhood, womanhood, and just yeah, it gives me all the girly vibes. I really, 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 really like this. It's a coming of age. This is YA2. I really loved it. Okay, so this next book was my introduction to Tiffany Jackson, and I love her books. This was the only one that I gave a 5 star, and it's called The Weight of Blood. It's like a retelling of Stephen King's Carrie. That's what I heard. I've never watched that movie or seen it, but it's like a retelling of it. It's a thriller, and I just loved it because I listened to the Audible, and the cast was amazing. Like it was so amazing. It was beautiful. The production was so good. It went from like a newscaster to a podcast to so many different perspectives. And I love that. When I finished it, my mouth was open. I was shocked. I was amazed. After I finished it, I immediately got on social media. Two other women read it because of my influence, and they absolutely loved it. And these were not book readers. They read a lot of self help. They're not really into it. They're like into psychology, all of that. But they read this book and they loved it as well. And they were like, y'all, Ashley's not lying about the book she recommends. There are better thrillers. This is YA. It's some pretty good thrillers since, and it's not as scary as, this was like me dipping my toes into thrillers. It's not as scary as I thought it was at the time because I'm a very scary girl. But I liked it. I loved it. I loved the Audible. And if you read this book, you have to read the Audible. It flows so naturally and so fast. And I really enjoyed this book. Okay, the last and final. This was my first ever. Was this my first ever 5 star? Did I say that about something else? Well, fourth week. I love this book so much. As y'all could see, Team Ryerson all day. I'm so excited about the third book. A lot of people, I don't even know how to begin to explain this book. I can read a little of the synopsis on the back, but let's see. I don't think the synopsis does it justice, but it's dragons, it's smut, it's romance, it's fantasy, it's everything that if you love a fantasy romance, you will absolutely love this book. Some people talk about the writing, say it's not the best. Some say that she rushed the process, but I don't care. Give me the third book immediately. I'm ready. I love this book so much. This was my first introduction to like a thick fantasy book, and it was everything that I could ever imagine, ever think of. A lot of people want me to start, and I have it, A Court of Thorns. I just cannot get through the first book. It is so boring. I'm trying to listen to it on Audible, but this was my introduction to fantasy, and I cannot stop this series. Like, I never want it to end. All the theories, all the things, it's so much to discover. And I love discovering it along people and hearing like their thoughts and their theories. And our book clubs for these are like hours long because we have so much to say. It just is such a good like book club book and something that really gets the conversations engaged and going. I recommend this. You will fall in love with dragons. You will fall in love with all the powers. Violet. Some people say she's annoying because she does have like some mobility issues, which I love that the author included that because it just shows that yeah, you might not seem like the strongest, but you know, you might surprise some people. So I love that. And I think that's good representation for people who might have mobility issues or might be disabled. I've I've read so many books since then, and this is so long ago, but this is always one of my favorites. And if you're a new girly and you're getting into the world of reading, I recommend this. All right, those are my recommendations. Comment down below what you recommend if you're a beginner, and if you want to start reading any of these, tell me your thoughts once you do finish them. I just love reading. My favorite thing is hosting events and bringing people together. And it's something about book readers when we just all come together and read something and then talk about it and get so excited. And it's like our own little secret because not everybody picks up a book. And I love community. And when I thought about starting the groups that I'm in and the groups that I founded, I just thought, like, what are moments where I feel my best? And it's when I'm sitting at a long table full of people and talking and having community and just having that connection. And books just bring people together. So let me know what other book suggestions you would like. These are just from the last few years, but I have a lot of 4 stars. I have a lot of 3 stars. I have some favorite thrillers. They're not on the 5 star list, but they are 4 stars. And if you want to know my favorite thrillers, let me know down below. Love yourself fiercely. Bye.